The single most important thing we can do to make America more affordable is to deport the 20 to 30 million illegal immigrants in this country. Why? You get rid of 30 million illegal immigrants, you bring down housing prices, you bring down auto insurance, you bring down health care, you bring down education. And he talked about that, how we're getting record deportations. That's what we need to do to make America more affordable.
Not the Nebraska farmers going bankrupt by voting for Donald Trump. Like, I don't give a shit. You guys voted for it. Fucking take the consequences. Fuck you guys.
Who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump.
Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way.
Couldn't happen. No.
You voted for the president?
Yes, I did.
And do you support these policies which might be hurting farmers like you?
Right now, we're the ones that are taking the hit.
I think he's sort of backstabbing the main people who got him into office in the Midwest, and he just left us down.
The Trump administration now wants to make it easier for farms to hire immigrants after trying to deport all of them. After conducting mass deportation of farms and all of the ICE raids, Trump is now trying to get all of those immigrant farm workers back. Because it turns out Americans never wanted those jobs and they still don't. Shocker. And the farms are really pissed off about losing a majority of their workforce. So he's going to make it cheaper for farms to hire workers on an agricultural visa called the H-2A visa. Under this new rule, wages will be lowered even more. So what should these farmers do? Apply for a labor trafficking visa, which can get them a green card if they can prove that they've been trafficked into the United States by their employer and then further exploited. So then they can leave their employer and then file a lawsuit against them.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
We made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
And why don't I hire Americans? The simple answer is we can't get the workers. No American ever calls. No American ever shows up. That's why we are so grateful for the guys that are willing to come and do the work here on the farm. We can't do this without them. And we can't do this with people in our local communities a lot of the time.
When people were saying that mass deportations would greatly affect farmers, I didn't actually think they were serious. They said that Americans were unwilling to do the jobs that immigrants do. And I didn't believe them. But this new video that I just saw proved me wrong.
It's just been harder and harder and harder to find those people to work.
Bethany Gotts owns Quay's Farm in Mountain Home, but now with fewer workers, a lot of the manual labor is left up to her. She tells me she's tried hiring locally, but it's been difficult to find people willing to do the hard work.
Finding a legal American here that is going to work as hard as an immigrant is nearly impossible.
She even posted job openings on Facebook.
I had 7 people contact me about it, and when I sent them the description, I had no people respond.
I went ahead and found the job listing. She's offering $2,000 to $3,000 a month for full-time manual labor on a farm.
She says hiring undocumented workers is not an option, with serious risks for both sides.
One, you're going to get fined. You have unfortunately, an employee living in fear. They could get picked up at any moment, and then you're without an employee.
To keep her farm running, Gotts is hiring high schoolers and is now looking into the federal H-2A visa program.
I have endeavored to spend $200,000 to build a small worker housing so that I can get H-2 workers next year.
This woman had $200,000 lying around that she could have used to pay some strapping young Idaho corn-fed boys to do the manual labor on her farm, but instead built temporary housing for visa workers. I never thought I'd live to see the day where liberal media was telling people, are you unwilling to pay Americans a fair and decent living wage for hard manual labor? Just import a bunch of people to do it for way cheaper and then put them in a house and they can't go anywhere else because what other option do they have? Man, I feel like there's a term for that, but it's just slipping my mind.
It's just been harder and harder and harder to find those people to work.
Bethany Gotts owns Quay's Farm in Mountain Home, but now...
This woman is a multi-millionaire who inherited her 500-acre farm. Jeff Bezos would hire illegals too if he could.
I'm in trouble, bad trouble.
Smith's 200 acres need 20 pickers, mostly Mexican nationals.
There is not enough documented people here to supply that workforce.
Most of your workers are here illegally.
That's sure. If they got documentation, they got a better job working for me.
Fernando Aldeman, a Mexican national, has worked Smith's farm since 1992.
Everybody's just scared.
Yeah.
Now, are you here legally? No.
No.
So, are you scared?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared, you know.
Smith's pickers make about $100 a day. He supports immigration laws, just not this one that threatens his third-generation family farm.
You want to get rid of illegal immigrants, quit eating. And that's for everybody. That's, nationwide. If you want to get rid of them, quit eating.
So you mean to tell me that in Utah, they're restricting water supply to homesteaders that literally live off their land? They have to water their crops. They need water for, showers and cooking and everything else. They need water for their animals, and they're limiting their water supply. But in the same state, they just approved a 40,000 acre AI data center by Kevin O'Leary in the same state that they're limiting water supply to people that are growing their own crops. And then now, guess what else? Palantir and USDA just partnered for $300 million for a contract so they can control the food. They can make sure that the food is okay.
Farmers and truck drivers and really anybody reliant on diesel is being forced into making tough decisions here in Iowa and across the country as this war continues to drag on. They tell me that they are being pushed in many cases to their very limits.
You can't lose money year after year after year and keep the business going. And that's the scary part right now.
Many experts say that even if the war were to end immediately, that many of these problems and elevated prices are going to last for weeks. And when it comes to farmers in particular, that might already affect next year's growing season.
Well, if farmers break, why then there's less food for everybody in the world.
It's about $250,000 to $300,000 worth of revenue. Just
left to rot.
Yeah, which is one thing, but it's also lost revenue for the workers that would have been able to pick them had they been here.
Oregon farmer Ian Chandler says about half his usual crew didn't show up this season, leaving him scrambling to backfill dozens of positions.
You're calling them, I assume, individually and saying, what's going on?
Yes. And so
what are they telling you?
Well, in the beginning of the season, it coincided, unfortunately, with a lot of really strong immigration enforcement down in Southern California, where our workforce comes from. And that kind of had a chilling effect on people wanting to move.
While Ian says his workers are hired with what seemed to be a valid ID and work papers, fear of ICE raids kept many of them from traveling north this year.
Yeah, so family, at one point, it felt like a victory for many MAGA supporters, especially in rural America. The push for stricter immigration enforcement and mass deportation wasn't just political, family. It was personal. It was framed as taking back control, restoring order, and even protecting American jobs. And farmers stood among those voices, some loudly supporting crackdowns on undocumented workers, believing that tightening the system would ultimately benefit the country and, by extension, their livelihoods. But what happens when a policy that feels right in theory collides with the reality on the ground? Because now something unexpected is unfolding across parts of America's agricultural backbone. Fields are being left unharvested, crops are rotting under the sun, and farmers, some of the very people who once supported these measures, are finding themselves in a situation they didn't fully anticipate. And the truth is, family, agriculture in the United States has long depended on immigrant labor, not in a small way, but in a deeply structural way. And for decades, farm work has relied heavily on workers willing to take on physical, demanding, seasonal, and even often low-paying jobs that, despite political rhetoric, many American-born workers have consistently shown little interest in doing. And so when immigration enforcement tightens and deportations increase, it doesn't just remove illegal labor, it removes a workforce that entire systems were quietly built around. And that's where the tension really begins, family. Because for some farmers, the realization is hitting hard. The labor they want so as replaceable isn't so easy to replace. Efforts to hire locally often fall short. Either workers don't apply, don't stay, or even demand wages that many farms already operating on thin margins struggle to afford. And suddenly, what once felt like a political win starts looking more like an economic crisis. And this isn't just about assigning blame as much as it is about exposing a contradiction. On the one hand, there is a strong desire for strict immigration control, and on the other, there is a quiet dependency on the very labor that those policies restrict. And so it raises uncomfortable questions, family. Can the system function the same way without immigration labor? And if not, what changes or what needs to change? Is it the policies? Is it the wages, or the entire structure of the industry? And some farmers are now speaking out, not necessarily reversing their beliefs, but acknowledging that the reality they're facing is hitting hard. They're calling for reforms, guest worker programs, or even more flexible policies, solutions that balance enforcement with economic survival. Because at the end of the day, family, crops don't wait for politics. Harvest season doesn't pause for policy debates, and the land doesn't care about ideology. It responds to labor, to timing, and to effort. And there's also a broader ripple effect. When farmers struggle, it doesn't stop at the field. It affects supply chains, food prices, and even ultimately everyday consumers. And what starts as a political stance can end up influencing what people pay at the grocery store. And that's what makes this story so compelling, family. It's not just about farmers. It's about the gap between policy and reality. The difference between what sounds good in a rally and what actually works in practice. Because sometimes the consequences of a decision don't show up immediately, family. They unfold slowly, quietly, and until one day they're impossible to ignore. And for some MAGA farmers, family, the most may be now experiencing it.